Okay, hello YouTube. I wanted to do a little follow-up on this trio that I got the other day off eBay. Um, I've had a bit more time to use these now, and just wanted to give a bit more sort of description. So, this one, Oud Kus from Nusuk, um, is a very strong incense smell. I've described it as incense and musk really predominantly. I think there's some oud in there, but to be honest, I guess it might be more towards the Indian kind of style. It might hide itself as a bit of sort of wood, overly woody type. But what I get mostly out of this is incense, musk, some rose, maybe patchouli, and a bit of like sort of vetiver, like ish. But it's very sort of that Middle Eastern vibe through and through. I'm not sure my wife actually likes it much, but I like it a lot. I could wear this one a lot. So, after having used it for a while, and it lasts a long time, like all day long. The kind of thing you might smell just a hint of the next morning on that spot. This one, it's funny. Oud Afgano makes it sound like it's going to be really sort of resinous and etc. It to me, it's pretty approachable. It's got a bit of vanilla sweetness in it. I would say it's kind of got oud, vanilla, cinnamon spice, that kind of thing. Again, with some rose and incense, almost as much as this one. It's actually a little bit less potent on the incense than this, so it ends up being a bit more approachable, it seems to me, than that one. For Western noses, just because it's a bit more sort of vanilla as opposed to Middle Eastern strong incense kind of thing. So this guy, when I first opened it, I said I could hardly smell it. I thought I was smelling the paper, the cardboard from the box, more than I was actually smelling the perfume, which is kind of weird. But I think that was just the very early steps of the opening. So to me, it's barn. Like, this is a barny oud. Totally animalic, dark, barny, with nothing else, basically. And that's awesome. Because if you're looking for that kind of thing, which I kind of was, yeah, it starts off sort of smelling alcohol and paper, and that's kind of hard to put your finger on. But when that dries off, this becomes just an Indian oud, barney kind of scent, and that's kind of what I was looking for. So I've been actually spraying this into some other concoctions that I've made, blends and stuff. Whoa. Even like this, which is, I tried to make an attar and it didn't really work necessarily. So this is kind of an oil base for, it's got frankincense and myrrh and google and benzoin and stuff like that were soaked in oil as kind of a base, and then it's got some patchouli and sprays of this for oud and some geranium and then a bunch of tree oils, fir and spruce and that kind of stuff. Yeah, so this has made kind of an interesting little Majmua 96, so it's got that floral kind of edge from the Majmua that I'm not exactly sure what that is, but it's quite strong. But it's the kind of thing that's going to lend itself to go well with things like vetiver or oud, it seems to me. And with a bunch of that geranium in there in place of rose, because I don't have rose, it's actually pretty good. So, I would go back. I would do this again. In fact, I'm going to look for some others like this. There's one called Asrar on perfumery.in, whatever it is, the Project Alternative website. I might try it at some point, but I like this. And if you like a really barny oud that becomes that strong kind of aromatic smell with nothing else, that's what this is. So that's those three, and this is the kind of thing that I'm doing with them, is mixing them a bit. I was going to talk about Fakat Little Rijad as a comparison, but I'm not sure they're quite the same. This oud is different, and I'm not sure whether the oud that's in here might be similar to those guys. But if I haven't mentioned it, the incense note, especially this one, to me is the same incense note that's in Alique Ombre Noire. It's that very same strong sort of dominant incensey note, particularly on that one. And this too, but less. Okay, hope that's helpful. Cheers.